All right, friends, I'm going to talk about just one thing that if you stop doing it, your improvised saxophone solos will improve drastically. All right? I'll get right to that. My name is Dave. I teach people how to play the saxophone, and most of my students are adult learners. Am I talking to you? Yeah, adult learners. And you don't necessarily have a lot of free time. You have to carve time out to spend with your horn. So I'm going to try to just get right to it and be succinct today and not ramble on. The one thing, the one thing that if you stop doing this, your solos would improve is playing. I know you're thinking, what the heck, Dave? You want me to stop playing during my solo? Well, yeah, for little stretches of time. I don't want you to play the whole time. And that's something that emerging soloists will often do, is fill the space. All right? They fill the space from the beat one of their allotted solo time all the way to the end, and sometimes beyond, with non-stop playing. Kind of like hanging out with somebody that's one of those non-stop power talkers, and they've had the big cup of coffee from 7-Eleven, and they're just talking nonstop, and you can't get a word in edgewise. Okay, understand where I'm going with this? All right, why do we do that? Great question. Um, Perhaps it's nerves, perhaps it's inexperience, not really comfortable in the medium yet. You know, you're getting up to play with a band now, and you've got all these ideas and things that you want to try out, perhaps, and you're noticing for the first time that the band, is that keeps moving, right? There's no stopping to think there. Those chords just keep on changing. And so perhaps it's just nervousness, anxiety, not knowing what to play, so you just keep going, or possibly exposure, what you're listening to. A lot of heavy hitters, had periods of time when that's what they did. John Coltrane famously, by the way, was the subject of complaints from bandmates. Now, I wasn't around to hear this. I read this in a history of Miles Davis, and John Coltrane apparently was at a point where he was playing a lot of notes in a solo, and going on for a long, many choruses, more than perhaps where it was his allotment. And some of the band members were said to have complained to their boss, Miles Davis, who went to John and said, the guys are complaining you're playing too much. Of course, I paraphrase here. And John allegedly said, I don't know how to stop. And Miles Davis allegedly said, well, just take the horn out of your mouth. Think about that. Well, here's a visual aid. John Coltrane was on this album, and you'll notice the just absolute distinct difference. Let me get this out of the glare here. Miles Davis kind of blue. If you don't have this, get it. Listen to the first track, So What, and listen to Miles' solo. In fact, I would like to give you that as homework. Transcribe that onto your saxophones, okay? You will also hear John Coltrane when he comes along, and he plays nonstop. And then Cannonball Adderley plays nonstop. And that may be what you're exposed to. Well, how about listening to some Louis Armstrong? Transcribe some Louis Armstrong. Say like strutting with some barbecue. Louis Armstrong solos leave space in the narrative. Miles leaves a great deal of space in the narrative. How about some Hank Crawford? There's an alto sax player, power hitter. Leaves a lot of space in the narrative. All right, leave a little space there. Now, what happens in the space is it draws the audience, and a listener their ears are drawn into the narrative, and that's there's an interesting thing that's happening here when we're playing a solo. We're speaking to the audience, we're speaking to the band members, and we're talking to ourselves. Right? There's a lot of self-talk going on in playing a solo. When you pause and you're not filling up all the space, which the late great Joe Murillo, my teacher, said, he called those scrambled egg solos. If you're not blasting the whole time through that space, you're giving the band time to breathe and talk as well, and they're talking back to you. Music being a non-verbal language, all right? Hey, I've got a free PDF for you. I put it together, And it's for beginning improvisers, all right? And it's a checklist. And if you'd like to have that, I'll put a little link in the description below. Check the box, send me a little note there, and I'd be happy to send that to you free of charge. That may help you on your journey. But today, I'd just love to have you use your ears. Think of something that you can play. Create it before you have this solo. The next time you go to the jazz workshop or the blues or whatever it is, you can think of something that you can play. Make a simple statement, pause, repeat it, pause, repeat it again, and then modify it. All right, that wasn't that hard now, was it? And you can do it, and I know you can do it. Hey, if you have questions, reach out to me, davegoodsax@gmail.com. Again, I'll put that in the links below, all right? If you have any questions at all about playing solos, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm happy to hear what your process is too. So please, if you put something in the description, in the links below, if you put comments, others get to read them and learn from your expertise as well. And that's been the beauty of the this YouTube channel is those among you who have subscribed from around the world are sharing your expertise and your strength and your insights with every one of us, and we all learn from you too. Kind of cool, isn't it? So look, think about that. Next time you have a solo, stop playing, and it'll make your solo so much better. Now that just sounds so rude, doesn't it? No, stop playing for brief moments, all right? Let the band breathe and stick something else in there. Now you've got, obviously if you have an 8-bar solo, you're not going to have too much time to pause here, but you get into 16, 24, 30, to longer breaks. You'll have time to pause and let the band cook and listen. Get to the place where you're comfortable in the environment of the band break where you get to play a solo and you get a little more comfortable with listening to what they're doing. Last night, I wish you could have been there. I have a jam session every night at the Space Bar in La Mesa, California. Those of you who are my homies, come on by. La Mesa, California Space Bar. And we had a wonderful guitar player who I would play a solo and he would pick up and listen to what I was doing and actually, jump in and follow the little train of ideas that I had created. He would use them and compose his own solo from that. So instead of blasting all the way through a solo, no, we don't have to do that, all right? Don't get nervous. Take a big deep breath and now that's just kind of an idea. Don't do what I do. Do what you want to do. But we'll call that sort of a blues idea. And blues is always a really good place for emerging soloists to start, right? Because it's simple, it's forgiving, and we can make a lot of mistakes and move on, all right? So that's what I got for you today. Again, if you'd like to have that free PDF, connect with me. I'll leave a way for you to reach out to me in the description below. The best way that you can improve your solos is to stop playing momentarily. Leave little breaks. Let the band speak with you, and I guarantee you'll just have some great results with it. It's all I got. Play your horn. Have a good time. Be good to each other. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you again next week.